Welcome back to Fast Market here on the Schwab Network. It's time for cash tags. For that, let's bring in our next guest. That's going to be Landon Swan, co-founder of Likefolio. Welcome back to the show, Landon.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
All right, PayPal. This thing's been getting hammered, dumped on the last earnings report, which was a pretty good earnings report. If you look at the top line and bottom line, they guided a little bit softer. But the new CEO has done some good things, trying to make this thing more efficient, make it run more like Venmo as a whole. What's going on with this stock? Why is it hitting 7-month lows this week? Is it just macro environment news and headline risks?
Yeah, I mean, you got to be disappointed as an investor. You think, you thought that the summer was sort of the bottom out, and it had a nice little run and got up to the low 90s or something. But, we're headed right back down. And it's like you said, it's guidance. I mean, you can't guide weak in this environment. People, even if you come in with decent numbers, you've got to have strong guidance. They're talking about cutting 9% of their workforce and, a little bit weaker transaction volume. And it's tough as an investor to hear that. So that's why they've been selling off. And I think it's tough for PayPal because they are a kind of a legacy business that's trying to transition into becoming a little bit, newer tech. And the Venmo can get it done. That's a brand that was built on being innovative. But PayPal, it was stagnant for a long time. And they've got some serious competition. And even if you look at that, the last quarter, I mean, Venmo was, I guess, leading the way. Their total volume was up 10%. Their debit and their pay on Venmo balance transactions were up 40 and 50% respectively. And those customers are very valuable. They generate about 3 to 4 times the revenue per user. So love to see that. But, PayPal is trying to move in this better direction. I mean, last year they rebuilt their mobile. Now it loads 40% faster. It's got features like, access to credit, buy now, pay later, saved credit cards. I mean, this is kind of like table stakes stuff, though. I mean, this is something that you shouldn't be developing in 2024. You should have had this years ago. And I think, again, it goes back to them trying to reinvent the technology. And I think they just got to realize they've got a strong user base, get the technology up to date, and then compete based on volume and user base. Because there's so many instances where the company that has all the users, when they come out with something new, they move them over, and now all of a sudden they're competing. But they're taking a little bit longer than they should. It kind of reminds me of like Apple Music and Spotify, right? I mean, Apple Music had everything dominated. PayPal had everything dominated. And now you got Shopify coming in and disrupting and taking it over, even though they're actually partners, which is interesting. But overall, I think that, they're doing okay. I mean, if you compare them to Square, if you compare Venmo and PayPal to Cash App and Square, they're beating them. If you compare them to Shopify, they're way behind. They're not in last place, but they need to pick up the pace to catch up with Shopify and do all the things that they can do. Because as it is right now, they've got the user base. They just don't have great technology and great integration with merchants. They're moving in that direction. They've got Fastlane coming out, but it's very slow to implement. I think they've only got about 2,000 merchants right now. So they know what they need to do. I think they just need to do it more quickly.
Landon, you're right. The stock action is a major disappointment because it was actually a pretty nice beat on their earnings. And I'm 100 years old, Landon. I just got back from a week with 8 guys, and the amount of times we used Venmo would impress any young person for how much we use Venmo, even as old people. So it's getting accepted by age demographics that are higher than you would think. Now, that said, could this sell-off be a function of the soft data that we've been getting, the consumer sentiment data, all those things that may weaken consumer stuff? I mean, this is a company much like Visa, much like MasterCard. They need swipes and activity. And if there's a fear of a slowdown, which it doesn't seem to be showing up in a lot of the hard data, but is certainly preeminent in the soft data. Could that be why this is happening? And if so, maybe this is a buying opportunity if that's the case, Landon. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not helping. Obviously, you want to have a strong economy no matter what business you're in, pretty much, and it's gonna lead to problems for PayPal. But I mean, if you look at Shopify, they're doing really well. As far as increasing their volume, increasing their user base, and our data is it's just an unbelievable outlier. You can see it here. I mean, Venmo and PayPal are, they're the number 2 spot combined, and then Square and Cash App are the number 3 spot combined. But Shopify is just eating everyone's lunch. I mean, it's a dominant force here, and I think it's because of the ease of use and the focus on the customer experience. I mean, when you go and you use Shopify on a website, it's one click. You can track it no matter what the merchant is, right? No matter where you're buying from, you can track all your purchases. It's a really quick checkout, and they built it for the customer. And I think that again, PayPal's got to catch up. They're getting there, and Venmo's kind of leading the way. But the thing about, you talk about all those transactions you made, and I'm with you, like a golf trip or whatever, you settle up at the end, it's all Venmos. It's great. But they're not really making any money on that. They've got to get you to where you're using Venmo to check out or as a debit card. Then they can make some money. Right now, the only way they're making money on people like you and me is if you hold a balance and they're getting some of that interest rate. But as interest rates fall, I mean, obviously that's gonna cost them. And not to mention, they've got to spend a lot of money on the product and the marketing to compete with Shopify. That's going to cut into their free cash flow. So they're in a good spot financially. They've got a great user base. Their tech is old, and they've got to revitalize that. They're struggling on getting international expansion. So just overall, they're good, and they're like on the cusp of being great. And if we could just fast forward their tech 2 or 3 years, get them there, then maybe they can compete. But every moment that they wait, Shopify continues to pull that lead a little bit further and further. But again, the good news for them is this massive user base, which any company, I mean, you can have the best technology, but if you don't have any users, it doesn't matter. You can have second-rate technology, but if you get all the users, you're the winner because you can create that new technology and then everyone migrates over. So I think that's the future for them. It's just a question of when is this going to happen? When are you going to get integrated with all these merchants? I think the partnership with Shopify was a huge move for them. I think it helps Shopify, it helps PayPal. It's a win-win. But they've got to get more merchants. They've got to get that transaction flow going, not just balance holding on things like Venmo.
I think you look at the new CEO, Alex Chris. It seems like he was doing everything right. The stock was rallying at the end of last year, but now we've got these macroeconomic concerns. Kevin mentioned the confidence and sentiment data that's been waning from the consumer. So he's in a bad spot at this point, Landon. But, when the stock's taken a hit the way that it has, down 30% from those recent highs just a few months ago, are you guys, what would be your earnings score? I know they don't report until the end of the month.
Yeah, so I agree. Once they get to anything that starts with a 5, I'm considering buying. Anything under 60. Earnings score right now, I just looked it up. It's at a -7. So it's right there. It's basically neutral. This is very similar to UPS. Like not the best data, but I think a lot of it's priced in, and the stock has sold off so much that it's probably not going a lot lower. So if it did get in that, anything with a 5, like 59, 58, it might be a good investment if you're going to hold for a few years. They've got to, again, turn that technology around. They're on their way. They've got their PayPal checkout is live in 25% of U.S. volume merchants, and that's up from 5% in Q3. So they're moving in the right direction. They just got to get there sooner. So yeah, right now, basically neutral on them. If it comes much lower, then that would turn into a buy for me on a longer term basis.
Yeah, and they finally stopped the bleed as far as users. They have 427 million, and that's kind of consolidated, maybe trying to reverse those numbers moving forward. All right, great stuff as always, Landon. Appreciate it.